Pastors Dan and Dell here today. I've kind of lost count, Dell, of what day of quarantine I'm actually on. I guess it doesn't matter anymore. And I just heard the president yesterday, probably wisely, from a national perspective, extending the recommended social distancing through the whole month of April. I know when he had mentioned like, hey, maybe we can be out of this by Easter. Like, I think everybody's heart knew that that wasn't really going to be the case. Like, it's just there's more to it than that. So here we are. Um, how are you doing? Like, what? How are you passing the time? How are you? What's happening at the Fazenfeld house?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It was a blow, wasn't it? To get concrete information that this is just the beginning of this. And I've noticed that I've kind of gone through a cycle, and I know everyone responds differently, even my own family members do. But the first week, I was sort of like hyper vigilant. I mean, I was flooded with adrenaline. I was actually a little bit tempted towards some panic, and so it sent me into sort of hyperdrive. And then after about a week, it felt like the bottom just sort of fell out, and I've been struggling more the second week with things like motivation and just basic stuff like that. So I know everybody's different, but we were on a phone call last night with friends and students, and it was amazing when we went around and checked in with everyone that this week has been a low week for a lot of people. So we're trying to learn new coping mechanisms for being effective.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you?
Well, so my pattern, like I would say maybe I haven't fallen, the bottom hasn't dropped out for me yet. Maybe just because it can't, like there's too many things that I have to do. But I remember like maybe the second day of this, which was actually before, for me, it was before the governor declared it. Like we kind of decided to do this a little bit earlier than we had to do it. And so I read some things from different people who like do work at home and people who've been through similar things, and all of them were saying like you have to wake up in the morning and choose to get on it. And so they were like, first thing in the morning, do exactly what you'd normally do to go to work, like put your clothes on, take a shower, brew a pot of coffee, and fire up the engine that normally you would fire up, or else you'll lose mojo quickly. So like really early on, I heard that wisdom and thought I've got to do that in part because like my family needs me to be on. And also, like I have multiple like jobs that I work on throughout the day, and I just thought like I can't lose a week or 2 weeks or whatever. So I guess for me, I'm still feeling that, and maybe I'll crash eventually. So I guess hearing you say that, it's probably a good warning that I need to like think that through. But I also think like part of it is it's sort of like all the things we've ever learned about what it means to rise to the occasion. Like this is kind of the occasion. I don't know what else we would have been preparing for, but this is sort of the moment when all the things about your character mattering and your productivity being important. Like if it doesn't come through right now, then when will it come through?
Yeah, I think it really is a time to go back to the basics and go back to the foundations. And I'm laughing because like how important is a shower to everything else that follows during the day, and just signaling to yourself by getting dressed that today is a day for productivity. So same here. Like that's key. For me, also getting some exercise. Like I just notice if I don't pay attention to exercise and I lay on the couch too much or sit too much, my energy is going to go down. When I was feeling anxious during the first week or just sort of on hyper drive, it was super important to me to remember the biblical admonitions to be still, and know that I'm God. And I read someone talking about that passage, and it's actually like God saying to us, just stop it for a minute. So sometimes we've actually got to stop and quiet ourselves to get our body to calm down. And
Right.
one thing that's been helpful for me in this is just to take some time to breathe deeply. So
Hmm.
it's actually true that when you breathe deeply and slow your breathing down, you actually can calm your body down. So I came across a little technique for this where if you breathe into the count of 6, so it slows your breathing down, and then pause 2 seconds, and then breathe out to the count of 4, and do that for a few minutes. it will settle your body down,
Hmm.
and it'll give you clarity and the ability to even think and pray more effectively. And so I've been trying to do that when I was feeling high, at least in the morning, to set my routine, but then taking a break to do that several times a day. And it really helped. So that would be something for people that are struggling with anxiety to maybe just remember that we can reset our body, and that as we're still and quiet ourselves, that we can know God and his peace and his direction sort of in a different way.
Yeah, that's great. You know, another little practice that I've been doing that I'll sort of, and you know, this is probably true even when there's not a pandemic, but it does change your perspective just to walk outdoors. And for me, you know, often in front of a screen, sometimes under, you know, sort of fake fluorescent lighting or whatever, it can kind of just, you get sort of this industrial thing going on where you just feel like you need to get out in nature. And so I've just been trying to make a practice of even on the days that are cold and rainy, like I still just walk outside. It's not like the rain's going to kill me or anything, you know, and just to breathe. I mean, part of it is, yes, the exercise side of that's important, but the other part is just to get out and like hear the birds chirping and realize that a lot of what's important in the world is still spinning on as usual. Yes, our human society, like the things that we're used to culturally, those are all disrupted, but you can go outside and realize like there's still a sunshine, there's still cloud cover, there's still it's still springtime, and there's a lot to celebrate in that. Just to sort of, I don't know, remember maybe what's most important. So,
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It also gets you out of your head for a few minutes and
right.
into your body a little bit, which gives a different rhythm. Dan, I've also been surprised. You were talking about opportunities. This is our moment in some ways.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to learn how to connect. Like I know a lot of us have been experimenting with technology and just new ways of connecting to friends, because social distancing is not the same as emotional cutoff. You know, we were made for emotional connection. So if social distancing ends up equaling isolation, you know, nobody's going to thrive. We're not going to thrive, but the people that we're here to minister to aren't, like our family and friends, but our neighbors, everybody. So we've actually tried some things, and I was actually surprised that virtual dinner with people actually works better than I would have ever imagined. We had 3 or 4 friends who decided to make our meals at the same time and sit down at a table, and we just put our computers up there and had a chance to have a meal separately but kind of together, while we went around and did some highs and lows and just sharing of our experiences, and some conversation and prayer. And it was amazing, if you take turns, you know, and learn sort of the rhythm of it, at the end, how much better we all felt. So I think some creativity with doing some of the things that we used to do with gathering, but doing it in new forms, is worth a shot.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I have not tried that myself yet, but that's fun. I'll have to give that a whirl. So hey, I was thinking over the next few days, some of the videos that we release, maybe we could walk through even just sort of like what we're actually doing with all this time. Because you know, every one of us, like we talk about the opportunity, we talk about maximizing the moment, but I thought maybe we should just get more specific and just say, well, here's what you're doing, here's what I'm doing. And it'd be neat to hear from some others in our church family about what they're doing. You know, maybe it is some of the creative things to try to keep some social rhythms going even when you can't be close to people. Maybe it's like, how do you become productive in this, you know, different environment. And I realize some of the people in our church are essential workers, and they're still actually going to work every day, sometimes at risk to themselves, and it'd be neat to hear from them too about like how they're holding up and what they're doing. So over the next week, I thought it'd be fun to engage on that level. And maybe that just encourages us one to another. You know, like we don't all live the same life, we don't all have the same set of responsibilities, but like hearing you talk about, man, you're getting up and you're on it and you're seeking to make the most of your day. And then when I hear, you know, like it's neat to compare that and maybe sharpen each other up a little bit. So so let's do that over the next few days. All right.
Sounds awesome.
All right, see you later. Thanks, Del.